Good evening. I would like to call to order this 1171st regular meeting of the Board of Library Trustees of the Palos Verdes Library District. This evening, we are at the Malaga Cove Library Community Room. May I have a roll call?
Yes, trustee Bueller,
Here.
trustee Easton,
Here.
trustee Uno,
Here.
and trustee Park and Wong are absent this evening.
Okay.
President, but we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, Trustee Butler, Vice President Butler will lead us in the salute to the flag.
Please rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, next we have the adoption of the agenda, and I know that Director Addington would like to make a recommendation for an update.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I would just like to note that on the agenda item 11 states that it is an action item. It is actually not an action item. So that is an informational only. I just wanted to make that correction before we adopt the agenda. So it would be an adoption of the agenda with correction.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda with the said correction or update?
I move to approve with the said update.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, next we have president's remarks and board member comments. So, the main update is all library branches will be closed on Monday, May 26th for the Memorial Day holiday. And then I'll just give a couple of brief updates on my recent activities. So this past Saturday was the Mayor's Ride in Rolling Hills Estates. This year I had a much more energetic horse than last year. So my horse is at the front of the pack instead of the very last horse this time. So that was fun. And then, we always talk about the Mayor's Ride, but we never talk very much about the breakfast. And so the boys or the Scouts of America put on a very nice breakfast for all of the riders in the community. And we had a really good turnout of elected and officials in the community. So it was a really nice day. Then yesterday, Vice President Butler and I joined Director Addington and I always Assistant Director, Deputy Director Roy. No, it's the assistant or deputy that is always. And Finance Manager Lou. I know last time I said something wrong. And it was a very good morning to hear what's happening in the cities on the peninsula. So I really appreciated hearing that update because I think it's important for us to understand what's happening across the peninsula as we continue to serve the community at large. Next, today I attended Serving with a Purpose out in Ontario. Made it back plenty of time. So I wasn't rushed in getting back. And the one thing or two of the highlights I wanted to mention, and I'm doing it now so that I don't have to remember to do it next month and it's fresher in my mind since I just came from there. But the theme was United in Purpose, Cultivating Belonging, Trust, and a Shared Vision. And the keynote speaker was Jeffrey Cohen, who is a psychology professor at Stanford University. And he talked about belonging and how important that is especially within a community. And he actually talked about the concept of belonging from a science perspective. So as you all can guess, I really enjoyed that part. But there was a lot of talk about making sure that, people feel like they're included. And I think that goes along really well with, our visions and our values. And I wanted to bring it up so that because next month we'll be talking about our strategic plan again. And so to keep that in mind, when we're looking at what's in our strategic plan. And then it segued really well into the closing speaker, who is John Kraska, the executive director of Every Library. And Every Library does work to support protecting libraries against defunding and censorship. And within his work or his presentation as well, he talked about the importance of connecting your values to your plan and, making sure that that's taking place, even when we're having budget discussions. And so I just wanted to, mention this as a reminder whenever we're having our discussions, making sure that we're staying focused on, what our values are and is it actually being demonstrated in the decisions that we're making. So I was really glad that I was able to attend. And I saw executive director from the Friends of the Library. Merlin David was there as well. So it'll be interesting to hear his perspective on the discussions that were presented today. And then that also kind of reminds me of in April, I believe it was April, it could have been March. It's all been a blur. There have been a lot of meetings and community events. But the South Bay Council of City Government held their 35th anniversary. And one of the things I took away from that meeting was, or one of the panels that stuck with me was a panel of young people who are working with the organization to work on projects related to government. And it was important to the organization to have input from younger people because, as you may know from watching national government, there's a lot being said about having younger people starting to participate to make sure that their voices are heard. And it was really good to hear what their perspectives are on government and how they can be more participatory. And so, I know that we have the PTAC, and so we get input from the school age young people. But I know that libraries tend to lose college age people and like right after that until they get to the point where they start to have kids and then they're coming back. But I think it, may be a good opportunity for us to explore, how to try to remain connected to that age group so that we don't lose them and then have to wait for them to come back because they do have a lot to contribute to what is going on in their communities as well. So I had meant to mention that last time, and with all of these other meetings I've been going to, I was reminded of that. And so if there are any opportunities, I think it's good for us to take a look at that. All right, does anyone else have anything that they would like to share, comment?
I just want to say I'm happy to be meeting in Palos Verdes Estates tonight. I think it's wonderful to be here. So.
All right, thank you. Well, thank Thank you.
I just want to add also that I had the chance to attend the Celebrating Our Similarities celebration at the library held by the Friends of the Library, and they were celebrating AAPI month this month, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. They had groups from Indonesia, China, Japan, Filipino artists, Japanese artists, authors, and dancers. And they also had participation from the audience, which was fun. So it was a wonderful community gathering celebrating a special month. I believe it's also Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mhm.
Is it another month as well?
It is. There are multiple
Event
things being
celebrations.
celebrated this
Yeah,
month.
I wonder, I think there's one more heritage being celebrated this month, but I'm forgetting what that is. So anyway, I thought it was a nice gathering at the community room, and lots of community members joined, standing room only, donations from local restaurants. And so it was a nice coming together time.
Nice. Great. Thank you. All right. So next on the agenda is communications and comments from the public concerning items not on the agenda with 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have?
We do.
Oh.
We have two speakers today. They can either go together or separately, but we would like to welcome to the podium adult librarian Crystal Costa and the assistant branch manager Katrina Woodson. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, members of the board. Thank you for having us. As Jen said, my name's Crystal. I'm an adult service librarian. Over the past few months, the library staff has feverishly been preparing an array of programming for our summer at PVLD. As a way to celebrate the beginning of our summer programming, we will be hosting our second annual kickoff event, Picnic on the Peninsula. On behalf of the Summer at PVLD committees, we invite the members of the board to join us Saturday, June 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Malaga Cove School Lower Field for a day filled with fun, entertainment, connection, and community. This year, we are proud to host over 20 local organizations for the community to engage with. There will be crafts, games, face painting, and 3 performances scheduled for the day, including a local girl band called the Never Evers. We also have a group of taiko drum performers and a Polynesian dance trio from Electric Luau. There will be a touch of truck section for the community to enjoy, thanks to our partners at the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Palos Verdes Estates Police Department. Complimentary popcorn and popsicles will be provided to all who attend, courtesy of the library, as well as giveaways and all the information about how to participate in this year's summer at PVLD. We, the staff, are so excited to welcome you and the entire community back for the second annual Picnic on the Peninsula, the official kickoff for summer at PVLD. We hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Katrina Woodson. I am the assistant manager at the branches. Happy to be here and talk to you all a little bit more about the summer reading program. So summer at PVLD is open to all ages. It's a free program. It encourages mental and physical wellness as well as all types of reading and inspires community connection. So those are our goals with our program, and I think we're doing a wonderful job in our planning, working towards those goals. We're really excited. Like Crystal said, kickoff is going to be on June 7th. The program runs from June 9th through August 16th. Anybody who wants to participate can come into any PVLD location and pick up a form on June 9th or after. And they can also sign up using an app called Reader Zone with a special code that will be promoted all over the place. Either way, we are doing a 1 million minute community challenge again this year, just like last year. And the way that that's going to work is the community will work towards our 1 million minute goal through exploring, reading, learning, and other opportunities. Staff will update a digital tracker weekly so that we can see the community's progress. And we will make reports on social media and through other traditional marketing platforms as well. There will be over 40 different events and programs throughout the summer for varying age ranges. All of them are going to be for free and super fun. Some of the upcoming programs in June include June 10th, a Wild About Animals hands-on animal encounter and show. June 18th, Hunger Games Academy for teens. June 25th, Bubble Palooza, a bubble performance, which is epic. You get to stand inside of a bubble. How many times do you get to do that? June 27th, an author talk with the New York Times bestselling author Kristen Harmel. And June 28th, a Paint and Flow program, a relaxing painting experience. So that's just a couple of the programs we have coming up in the next month. And like I said, to participate, all that patrons would need to do is pick up a form or sign up through Reader Zone. Then for each 50 minutes spent reading or doing an activity, they get to either color in a bubble or track it on the app. And then they will receive prizes and raffle entries. Every time they get to 500 minutes and then 1,000 minutes, they'll get a raffle entry for a grand prize or a few different grand prizes that I'll get to in a minute, with a maximum of 4 raffle entries per person for the summer. They will be getting some souvenirs just for signing up, including things like scented bookmarks, enamel PVLD pins, multicolored pens, pop fidget toys. And then at the end of the summer, the prizes will be raffled off for adults, include movie passes with concession vouchers, a private sushi workshop, an Amazon Kindle, and a 1-year membership to the Botanical Gardens. For the teens, the prizes include a Nintendo Switch bundle, a $150 Barnes & Noble gift card, and an Amazon Kindle. And for the kids, the prizes include a Nintendo Switch Lite, movie passes with concession vouchers, an Amazon Kindle, as well as a signed book bundle and book swag bundles, which are popular books and some goodies. So that's just a brief look at our program. I also brought in flyers for all of those things that I will hand out if you would like, and look forward to a wonderful summer. And thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you take that down? Oh, and then since you were asking about the address that we walked through with earlier,
Mhm.
now at the Malaga Cove Library, there is a dress made completely out of book pages. The books were discarded books by female authors that we put together as a big group effort to celebrate Women's History Month a few months ago. And she's had such a wonderful reception from the community that we left her up longer. And now we've brought her to Malaga so some more members of the community can admire her and kind of see something cool that went on at the library.
Where is she?
So yeah, she is just right in the main floor of Malaga Cove. I just brought her over tonight, so she's here now.
And how long?
Great.
How long?
Yes.
Probably at least a month or two.
Okay.
And then if Peninsula Center wants a turn, I'll bring her over there.
Great. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so next is item 7, the consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve that, or does anyone want to remove anything for consideration?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Great, thank you. I have a motion to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Next, we are on to item 8. Oh, consideration of items removed, and we did not remove any. So next is item 9, upcoming Board of Library Trustee conferences and events. Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The only thing listed on our agenda this evening is the annual picnic on the peninsula, which was just spoken about by Crystal and Katrina. I do want to add one more quick thing, which is the 37th Annual Palos Verdes Peninsula Street Fair and Music Festival. The Street Fair and Music Festival this year will be taking place on June 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's put on by the Palos Verdes Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. It's a wonderful event. The library will not have a table or booth at the event this year, but I did want to put it on your radar in case you were interested in attending.
Okay.
And that's all.
Thank you. I wanted to add, that CSDA has, opened registration for their annual conference, which is in Monterey is it October?
Perhaps October, yeah.
And so the reason I'm bringing it up is early bird registration ends sometime in July. So if people are interested in attending, it's always good for us to take advantage of early bird registration fees. So if you're interested,
May I ask on that?
sure.
Typically, how many trustees attend that annual conference?
So far, we had Bob attend one time, but no one else has attended. At least while
Annual
I've been here.
conference,
The one that's not the one that we went to.
but that was the annual conference.
Right. Okay, so this
So,
last time there were two
Yeah,
of
the
us.
last time two trustees went, before, I think one,
One.
maybe the year before that, one,
Or no one.
or no one, one or two.
Yeah.
Typically go.
But I just wanted to put out there that the early bird
No,
is-
that's a good catch.
is open now.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so next is item 10, which is a facilities update from Facilities Manager Gutierrez.
Hello, good evening. I think we'll actually start with codes and architecture and go over the Deep Valley, Peninsula Center Plaza we're saying. And that way we can go through with their presentation and then release them after, and I'll do the facilities update after that, if you don't mind. So I'd like to welcome up Carol Beth and Jill.
Daniel. I'm Carol Beth Cozen. This is Project Manager Jill Oliver. Thank you for having us here tonight. Do you have the clicker? Oh, there it is. Okay. We revised the project for the entry and terrace, and we made sort of a hybrid version. And I actually think it's amazing. We get the same amount of seating outside. We're taking away some of the hardscape. I mean, we're taking away some of the planters and creating a little more hardscape, which I don't know yet if planning will accept that. I assume they will, because the city of Rolling Hills has been so excited and an advocate of this project for the community. So we have a meeting with planning on Monday. But let me just go through this.
Just say
Just
next
let me
slide.
go to the next
Yeah.
slide and let me know, and we.
Oh, are you doing it? Okay,
I'll
great.
do it.
Next slide. Oh, understood. Okay, so this is just a 90-second fly through. If you can push play.
I might need
And
to share
it's-
that separately. So let's stop sharing there and we'll move to the YouTube because it's a separate window.
Okay, I'm gonna just talk a little bit. What we did was we incorporated 2 bike storages. So on the others, we had a couple options. I put both of them there. I think you're gonna need it with all the e-bikes. And we have a coffee cart. So we will actually have power in different places, but I'm showing it in the place that will accommodate water and drainage if we need it. Some coffee carts need it, some don't. And a lot more seating, and we moved the sculpture back where it was originally.
Yeah.
If I move it, it allows for better furniture placement outside. But
But it's quite a bit
Let's-
to move that sculpture.
it's
So
a-
we were
it's a
kind
lot
of
money
thinking
and
or maybe not quite as much return on the cost
There you
that
go.
it would be to move it. So
So you
we'll
see some
start
of,
it here.
some of the bike storage on the left and some of it on the right. We'll come back and see it. I think it's gonna highlight that.
So the sculpture will stay there where it is now. We won't move it at all.
There's some more.
Put additional bike storage here, which we don't have currently.
We added some built-in benches and some freestanding furniture. You can see there's a whole area on the right.
This is more bike storage, which will be great. I think it's just the Wi-Fi that's making it not quite as smooth.
I-
But you
I
can,
know.
you
Smooth
can,
on my
you can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be 90 seconds. It might be
Yeah.
5 minutes, but
But this would be a brand new seating area that we don't currently have. All these benches are new.
that seating area on the left was already
It
there.
was in the original plan, yeah,
But we're adding,
but it's new from what we have currently.
I just threw in a coffee cart. We don't know what
Yeah.
exactly it will look like. Oops. We're just going to evening now, but that's almost the size of the terrace
Mhm.
that
And
I
that's
have there now.
All brand new seating.
Now, that's all landscaping currently, and
Mhm.
it is on a pretty steep incline from where the sidewalk is to where the bottom of that area is approximately like 5 feet or so. And so, we had MZN give us some budgetary numbers on what our wish lists would be, and one of those things on the wish list would be to, build a retaining wall so that we can flatten out that area and actually create seating instead of having a planter there. And so, once
Okay.
we got some numbers back, we were able to move on that. We got the sliding doors in the front as well.
And the other's just some
Imagery.
stills of that you've already seen. So it's a little redundant, but there's just a few of
Yeah.
them. So if we go to the next, that was just highlighting, the foundation was concerned with bike storage, so we were highlighting it for them next. Walking in, leaving the sculpture where it is next. And that's just from above showing the new seating arrangement and some additional poured in place benches. And a lot of them will have electrical, they'll have outlets, they have lighting below. People can use their laptops. I think the community will really, really enjoy this.
Yeah.
And there's spaces where the freestanding furniture is, you can move that and a band can set up or a speaker or a community meeting, a fundraising cocktail party, whatever it may be. Next.
Is that secured to the, so it's not station, it's not permanent?
Those will have to be moved in at night, I
They
guess,
can
or
be-
how?
They have to be moved
you
in
go.
at
Or
night.
tied
Yeah,
up.
we'll probably, look at an anchoring system so that we can basically lock them down. and
Yeah.
then if we need them, just unlock them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next. That was another option, this area. Jill, do you want to point to it? The other option for the coffee cart?
Sure, the other option was to, sorry, my crossover. And to maybe put the coffee cart sort of parallel to this bench in this sort of area. And so we're also planning to run power there. There's not drainage there or water, but certain freestanding coffee carts may be able to operate perfectly well with that.
Next. That's looking
Looking
out.
the other direction.
Yeah. Next.
And we have added a lot of freestanding tables to
Mhm.
these bench areas.
Yes.
In response to user
Demand.
demand requests.
100%.
for Far more tabletop space, which is consistent with,
Mhm.
people with their coffees, laptops.
We're also including a fountain and a dog fountain that
Mhm.
was requested. So I think that's a great place for it, sort of right by the parking lot, a little bit out of the way.
Mhm.
Next, please. You can see that whole, can you show the U and how that's like the same size as the terrace was
Just point out
gonna
where
be?
the
Yeah,
U is. Yeah.
just that,
It's just the view of seating, so we really moved over what we had on the terrace,
Mhm.
folded over
Hold it
Yeah.
in, yeah.
same amount of space.
and there'll be automatic sliding doors, which
Mhm.
will help for ADA and will be a nice addition. Next, that might be the last one. Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. So that's more of a, almost a bird's eye. Next.
See, but we have some power plates embedded in at multiple locations, some to serve the benches and a couple sort of in the center
Mhm.
for entertaining purposes. The
Next
power
slide.
thing.
Next
The
slide.
entry. There's the dog.
Next slide.
Mhm.
Next slide. Evening, we'll have some interesting lighting.
Mhm.
Next slide. Next slide. And that doesn't show it here, but the benches in the front will be really nice when you're waiting for your mom to pick you up, but you know, and it's late, you have a place to, you can still read and study while you're waiting. Next slide. Next slide. Is that it? Okay. That's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Fabulous.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, I really want to commend Carol, Beth, and Jill, and their whole organization for taking what was already, I think, a really great design and just simply making it better. Because one of the things that we consistently hear from our patrons is that they want more places to sit outside. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, and there's like 2 benches. So to create opportunities for our patrons and staff and really everybody in the community, I know the Revenant Coffee Shop is very excited about the possibility of having, places for people to come and get a coffee and then go sit at the library. We have young mothers that bring their kids and they want somewhere to sit and have, a few goldfish crackers before they come into the library. And this space is going to provide all of that, the amount of seating and community space. The entire area is covered by Wi-Fi. So and as we add the power outlets, that just enhances people's opportunity to use it for laptop use, for study, for gathering, for doing whatever. And we are exploring the opportunity to perhaps bring a couple more security cameras out there just to ensure that we can also maybe keep an eye on things. We do know that it's pulling more people to be lingering in front of the library. I think the ultimate return is far outweighs any potential risk factor. And I think they've just done a fabulous job in creating an entryway that I think the library will become known for. So we're really excited about it. We did share this with the Friends of the Library. They are also very excited about it. They have committed an incredibly generous $850,000 towards this project. So we are incorporating that. That's kind of what allowed us to bring more seating and bring more power and put in the sliding door, which is going to be much better for us as an organization. And they're very excited about the project as well. So we just wanted to bring all of it to you so that you understood, kind of what that new design looked like and what we're planning on moving forward with.
I just wanted to add one more thing. That outdoor area would work well, of course, for reading to little kids. She was
Sure.
talking about moms, but also we got such a resounding sort of advocate next door at Merrill Gardens. We
Mhm.
walked through, they were really excited about this. I thought they'll use it as well. So,
Mhm. Everybody will.
so it goes across. Okay.
I've had numerous staff members say, well, I know where I'm going to eat my lunch now. Because I think it's going to be a really wonderful place to sit and just kind of relax and enjoy. I know the community's looking forward to it.
Really excited for the idea that it extends the library's capability to really function as a public community center,
Mhm.
as being kind of the only place on the hilltop that's not programmed commercial space. It's
Mhm.
truly public space that feels like a center. So
Mhm.
that's what we're excited about.
I think maybe it was Carol Beth who said it was almost like the library plaza now.
Yeah.
And it does sort of feel like that in some ways, it's kind of this plaza entry rather than just walk in,
Mhm.
so it makes it far more usable.
Thank you for squeezing us in on your
Yeah.
agenda today, and I was
Thank
happy
you.
to present to all of you.
Yeah, thank you. We will, we can provide you guys with copies of those if you'd like. I don't know if we have enough copies tonight, but we might. And we can certainly send it to you in the digital form or have a printed copy put into your box. Because it is they're really pretty to look at too. They did a good job on the fly-throughs and all the images and whatnot, so. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel.
Not a problem. Exciting projects, and yeah, we've gotten resounding community support
Mhm.
for that space, especially with the possibility of multiple units going in across the street. I think it'll be a great project. And part of the facilities update, we had a lot go on in March and April. One of them is actually here at the Malaga Cove Library, where we finished the install of the copper gutter system that is here. If you have opportunity to walk around before it kind of tarnishes, it's very nice and glistening. On the backside now, the salt air has already gotten to the west side and the north side. So I was here with my family recently, and my wife was like, it looks like they've been in there for a long time already. And I was like, it's only been a couple of weeks. It's still moving forward, but they brought out a truck and they actually bent the gutters from custom rolls, and they needed a lift to put them up on the tower room where they previously were not. We had a lot of issues with water drainage on that library, on the library driveway next to the trash can. We did put an awning over that door, and that did mitigate a lot of the issues, but having gutters on that top side is going to really help us a lot from some of the erosion and issues that we have from getting in and out of that door. So we did add that where we didn't previously have it. Go ahead, Ryan. So all of the gutter systems are actually made out of the copper rolls like that. They go through a press inside of that truck, and they would just, roll them out in their sections that they had previously measured out. I think the longest one was like 75 feet along the other side. And so that's one continuous piece that we all kind of helped guide so that it didn't get bent. Go ahead, Ryan. And so this is just some of the installs, some of the final products that we've got and how it looks and how they had to access some of the areas of the library in order to, install and secure the rest of that copper gutter line. It is only on the eaves edge of the library on the bottom side. So the top will just run off and they'll keep running down and then eventually go into the gutter on the bottom. We didn't have to do layers because, we'll just use gravity as an ally. Go ahead. And then this is the Mirrorless HVAC. So the end of summer 2024, the AC actually went out at Mirrorless. And so we were able to call our vendor out, and they were able to get it together for at least the last couple of weeks. And it was limping along, and it was still a little bit warmer in the building than we would have liked. But we kind of had to modernize it. We had to put in condensers, and we had to put in new coils because the coils were, you'll see a picture, they're pretty dilapidated, and the condensers were just old and kind of wearing out. So we did go through and replace those. But in order to do it, we actually had to remove some of the slats of the terraced decorative roof and get a crane out to lift everything onto the roof. So we facilitated that. There's some pictures of the crane and dropping it down through the terrace on the roof. Go ahead, Ryan. And so some of those are the coils that we were taking out. That's a condenser that they took out to replace as well. Go ahead, Ryan. And so you can see the difference between the old coils and the new ones are the radiators. So it wasn't getting a lot of cool air running through the copper pipes that were inside of it. And it was just bogging it down and ruining the efficiency, which eventually ended up burning up the compressors. Go ahead, Ryan. We also had the Peninsula Center air handler wall that somebody crashed into in July. We finally got through all of the insurances and all of the approvals, and we got that taken care of. We had to remove all of this equipment from the wall that actually got crashed into itself and build a supporting wall, temporary wall, bring all of that equipment over and rewire it and reconnect it so that we can keep on having our air handlers moving and have our AC or heating throughout the building, especially on the third floor. This basically runs the air on the third floor. Go ahead, Ryan. And then once they were able to do that, then we replaced some of the studs that were in the wall. We cut them out, replaced them, and then repatched the stucco. And go ahead, Ryan. Somebody had crashed into the buttresses that are above the driveway going up. So they were nice enough to just kind of throw that in for us and patch it up too. So I got a picture of that. And the wall after they've got the top coat on. And then the next one is the finished product of the wall itself. So, Okay, so, yeah, those are some of the recent things that we did.
Right. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Have any questions or?
Okay, thank you
Okay.
for the update.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Daniel.
Thank you very much. I will actually be out here because we need to leave it accessible and I don't want somebody coming in and just wandering the library,
Sure.
so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 11, Assembly Bill 2561 compliance, Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So you have a memo in your packet. The memo is to inform the Board of Library Trustees about Assembly Bill 2561 and how the library district needs to be in compliance with it. AB 2561 went into effect in September of 2024, and it requires public agencies to present the status of job vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts at a public hearing at least once per fiscal year. It would also entitle the recognized employee organization, which for us is SEIU 721, the opportunity to present at a public meeting if they choose to. Additionally, requirements go into effect if an agency has a vacancy rate of over 20%, which PVLD does not. Basically, this bill went into play to address big organizations that have multiple vacancies on their books. And they carry those vacancies and say, you know, well, we really can't find anybody suitable to hire. And it gives the union an opportunity to say, well, what do you mean by suitable? And if you can't find anybody who's suitable, perhaps your requirements are incompatible, or maybe your recruitment efforts are not good enough, or maybe you're creating opportunities for people where they'll never qualify for these jobs. But as many bills do, it gets passed and every single organization has to come into compliance with it, even if it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with your own organization. Because here at PVLD, we really have very few vacancies. When we have a vacancy, we typically post for it pretty quickly. We get tens, if not hundreds, of applications for almost every position that we post for. And we hire very quickly and we bring somebody on. We don't carry budgeted unfilled positions typically for very long. I have to admit, my memo is slightly incorrect because at the time that I wrote this and the time that we were talking about it, the only position that we could think of that was budgeted but not filled was a volunteer coordinator position that has been vacant for a couple of years now. We are analyzing that position and actually think we may bring it back in the near future. But since the position was vacant, those duties were kind of farmed out to other people. Our human resources manager took on a lot of it, and we just didn't really see the need to hire that particular position back. And we thought maybe we would transfer it into like a different classification or something. So we were just kind of still thinking about that. What I neglected to include on this, because it's been fairly recent, is we do have an assistant facility manager position that we have not filled yet. It is technically still budgeted, but we're kind of, again, working with the facilities manager Gutierrez about what he wants from that position, what kind of role he sees in that. So there's actually two positions that are technically budgeted but not filled: volunteer coordinator and assistant facilities manager. But we do anticipate in the next several months, we would probably post for both of them. And when we did, I am very confident that we would have numerous applications, and we would have absolutely no problem recruiting for them. When I wrote the memo, though, I did inform our SEIU 721 stewards that we are keeping in compliance with AB 2561. We want everybody, the community, the board, the stewards, to know that there are two positions that are unfilled, but unfilled because we haven't posted for them yet. And when we do, we expect really no problems with recruitment. And we've also had no issues with retention. PVLD is incredibly fortunate to be able to hire people who stay with us for years. And if they do go on to other positions, we really have no problems filling them. So in talking to Labor Cassidy Whitmore, they basically advised me that putting a memo in the board packet at a public meeting stating what vacancies we have prior to an adoption of our actual budget would fully comply with the intent of AB 2561, which is, just to inform the public and the union of unfilled positions. I'm happy to answer any questions about it, but it's really a compliance issue that we're making sure that we fulfill.
All right, thank you.
Mm.
Are there any questions, comments? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item 12, excuse me. First reading of the budget for fiscal year 2025-26. Finance Manager Lou.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so the first reading of the budget. The first reading of the budget is in the blue column for next year. The total revenues are projected to be 13.576 million, representing an increase of approximately 1.3 million compared to the current fiscal year. Two of the drivers of that increase are increased funding from the Friends of approximately 917,000, of which the bulk of that is the capital projects stone entryway of 850,000 that they're providing for us. And the other is the standard property tax increase. I have budgeted 4.5% for the secured portion of it, and we'll know from LA County later this month what their forecast will be. On the expense side, expenses are budgeted to be 13.947 million. An increase of approximately 1.7 million compared to what's budgeted at mid-year for this year. The drivers for that are salary and related, as well as fixed assets and software. On the salary and related front, we're projected to spend 9.5 million in that category. That 9.5 million does include 500,000 of an additional discretionary payment to CalPERS for next year, which is not in the current year numbers. Also, I've put in as a placeholder the current salary structure for now until we have more clarity on where the MOU will end up. Also, another smaller piece of the increase is due to the fact that last year, or actually the current year in green, has some vacancies. So the numbers for next year include the full staffing load. Fixed assets and software are expected to be close to 2 million for next year. The bulk of that is the stone entryway. Also, about $600,000 of fixed assets are expected to carry over from the current fiscal year to next. So the current year's net excess of 44,000 will actually be higher by approximately 600,000. On the, I guess on the positive side, the administrative and marketing expenses are going to be down approximately 200,000, as next year will not have any election costs. So all in all, for next year, we have a budgeted first reading shortage of 371,000. And the bulk of that is attributable to two things, ADP of 500,000 that we have budgeted for next year, as well as the slippage of capital project spend of approximately 600,000 from the current year to next year. The ending fund balance is stated at 6.8 million for next fiscal year. If we include the 600,000 of unspent funds, that's not showing up in this green column for the current fiscal year because that's what was approved back in February, but we know that the excess is going to be $600,000 higher. The numbers in blue would be higher, and we would be fulfilling not only the 6 month of operating expenses in its entirety, but also we'll have approximately 460,000 for the 5% of operating revenue for emergencies. So we're still in good shape on the fund balances. I wanted to quickly go back to the first slide here where it also shows the pension fund. In April, we did transfer an additional 1.25 million from the general fund to the pension fund. That brings our balances to approximately 3.6 million in the pension fund. And with anticipated interest income of 143,000 next year, we should be seeing our pension fund grow to 3.8 million by the end of next fiscal year. That does it for the high level overview. Would you like me to go through the individual slides? Or do you have any questions before, you know?
Are there
as
any
of right now?
questions so far? Okay, you can go ahead and go through.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, let's go ahead and go through the slides. So, because we do want to make sure that we let the board know about the Friends, how that has shifted a little bit. And so if we could just go through them quickly, I'd appreciate that.
Yep, for sure. So the pie chart shows a little bit higher gifts and grants compared to previously because of the generous Friends funding. That used to be around 4%. Now it's at 8.7% of funding. The first slide here is property taxes. We'll know a little bit more, but for right now, the secure line item has a 4.5% increase for both next year as well as the year after. Internal revenue is pretty stable. A little bit of growth in passports is what I projected, kind of back to where we were a couple of years ago, a little bit. This slide here has the most changes. This is the funding from the Friends.
Yeah.
You'll see that capital projects is coming in at 850,000 for the entryway, as well as 2 years out, fiscal 26-27 shows 900,000 for the Malaga Cove roof. There's also been some shifting of funding from programming to online databases and audiobooks and ebooks, as well as library materials. And also a new item called Link Plus, which is an interlibrary loan type program. And that will be 45,000 for next fiscal year.
Yeah, if I could speak a little bit further to this. So I have regular meetings with President Susan Paul of the Friends, and one of the things that we did was we sat down and talked about the monies that the Friends give in our annual ask. And together we really talked about, where the Friends felt like their money was going to be the best used and where they could where we could use it, but where also they could market it and where, they could do potential capital campaigns or, they were really looking for that like tangible thing to be able to support financially. So what we together decided to do, and I think is actually going to be a really wonderful idea, is to not have the Friends directly support programming. So you'll note that on page 9 of the budget, in the first reading in the blue column, at the bottom there where the dashes start and then going into 26, 27, the Friends will no longer be supporting summer reading and adult programming and YR programming and young adult programming and video gaming and things like that. We're going to take that programming expense on ourselves, and they're going to focus a little bit more on collections, tangible databases, print materials, and then this new service, which is called Link Plus. It's one that we've been exploring internally for some time, but it's a fairly expensive program. But what it does is, as Finance Manager Lou mentioned, it's a sort of ILL kind of program that creates shared catalogs of multiple different libraries across Southern California, Northern California, and even I think one into Arizona. But it basically allows our patrons to have access to like the San Diego County Library System or big library systems at no cost to the patron whatsoever. So unlike an ILL, there's no cost, but it merges with our own catalog. So if there's a book that we don't have, but San Diego might have, or Calabasas might have, the patron can put a hold on it. And they actually utilize a courier service to ship the books from library system to library system. So you get it in maybe 3 to 4 days, as opposed to 2 weeks that you would have to wait for an ILL. It's, again, something we've been really excited about, but we understood that it was going to put a little bit of a pressure on our own budget. And the Friends were very excited about potentially doing that because it does provide millions of copies of books, titles, and it includes media, which ILL does not, to our own patrons. And they also then wanted to contribute additionally to like the entryway or to the replacement and repair of the Malaga Cove roof, because these are big ticket items that they can really work with. So we will start branding our programs as library programs only. The Friends have their own programs that they will brand as Friends of the Library program. And then we'll come together on collections and capital projects. And we just felt that kind of helped delineate the two organizations. And yet they are actually still providing a huge benefit to the library, and financially even more. I mean, we're literally jumping from 200,000 to 300,000 up to 1.1 and 1.2 million in contributions because of those big capital projects. Now, they will also use those as capital campaigns, I'm sure, as fundraising opportunities. One of the things that we didn't mention earlier in the meeting about that entryway is the bricks do have a fundraising opportunity with them because they can be engraved. So we provide them opportunities to raise money. They give that money back to us in really meaningful and big ticket tangible ways. And then we collaborate on collections and things like that. So just wanted to call that out, that you see that, fairly substantial jump from a 260,000 a year contribution to a 1.1 million contribution, and the change in exactly how they're contributing. But it is something that we had some really good conversations about, President Paul and I, and I've talked to our library managers about branding our programs as library programs. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be really beneficial for both organizations.
So I have a question about a couple items here. So first, the first projected number for Link Plus is 45,000. Is that setting up some additional initial costs? And
Yes.
then
Yeah,
successive
there's about a
subscription?
$20,000 to $25,000 setup fee and getting it all up and running. And then it's about 20,000 a year.
Okay. And then operational support. What is that?
That's the use of like our IT department, our facilities department, when they need assistance from our staff,
Mhm.
our digital services staff, you know, all those little things where they call on our staff or they need us to assist them in some way.
Oh.
We wanted to make sure there was some offset there.
Okay. And I see the 5,000 for assisted listening devices. And
Yeah,
so that was a request. And so it's going to be,
we put it as part of our formal ask.
okay.
So
Okay.
they wanted it incorporated it into the formal ask. So, you know, there may be other
Mhm.
little things down the road,
Right.
but ultimately we wanted to keep it very
Yeah.
concise.
And, one of the reasons I call that out is because that's one of those examples of, being inclusive. So making sure that
Yeah,
people
people can
who,
hear.
yeah, so
Is
as I
that-
said, making sure that it's showing up in our budget,
Mhm.
what our values are. So
Right.
that's a good example.
Is the 20,000 for the Link
Plus.
Plus, will that be contributed every year once this is set up?
Yes, it would be my intention to ask for that as a contribution in every annual ask going forward.
Mhm.
And they're very excited about it. So,
Okay.
kind of like how we carried over programming monies, we would ask for this every year. If we ever came to a point where they felt like they weren't getting their return on it or something, obviously we would have a discussion about that. But yeah, they seem very excited about that because it really does open a huge collection of items to our own patrons. Now, we have to share our items as well, so we understand that, but the trade-off is still well worth it. So we're very excited about it.
And so the library materials and databases, so those have jumped, but that's still just a percentage of the true cost of those.
Absolutely. Our databases run about 200,000 a year. They just increase their contribution
Okay.
towards it.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, I appreciate, thank you for allowing me to elaborate a little bit more on that, just so that you understood.
Oh, no, thank you, because I knew those conversations were ongoing. And,
Right.
And so it's good to see,
Mm.
what came of them.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Would the Link Plus be available in the fall to patrons? Is that the expectation?
I'm not sure that we have a
Yeah.
timeline on that. Our circulation manager, Ketsi Diaz, is leading that.
We've already started the
I know
process,
you
but
have.
it's going to be
Gonna
a
be
few
a while.
months.
It's a bit-
So it could possibly be here by the fall, or it may be closer to the winter, but I think, we're feeling that by January, we'll have it up and running smoothly. I mean, one of the things that we're considering and will very likely do is like a month-long staff-only run where it's not rolled out to the public yet, but we're teaching our staff how to use it, what the staffing processes are, and the staff can be ordering books and going through and getting a concept of how to help patrons, what kind of questions will pop up, what are the needs going to be for the community when they start using it. So that'll extend it a little bit, but it could very well be by the end of 2025, but if not, very early 2026.
Yeah. Sounds exciting.
Yeah,
So
it's
it will
really
replace
cool.
ILL?
It
Will that
won't,
still
it
be-
won't replace it. We may see a drop in ILL though, because if you can get the item through Link Plus, it would be free and you would get it quicker. But there are still certain items, especially from colleges and universities, that are only available, excuse me, through interlibrary loan, where Link Plus is almost just like a separate catalog. And you have to put it on hold and it takes a couple days to get to you. But yeah, it should be really cool. Okay, apologies for that delay though. And Finance Manager Lou, if you want to continue, I believe we're on page 10 now.
Yep. So here, the change here in interest income is due to lower fund balances in our general fund as a result of transferring more money over to the pension fund. Our total expenditures are budgeted to be 13.9 million. First, slide number 12 here shows salary and related. As mentioned earlier, I do have a placeholder based on our current compensation structure, and that can change a little bit. once we have the MOU finalized. And account number 5113 shows a $500,000 ADP budgeted for next year. We'll see if we will need to do that. The market's come back pretty strongly, so CalPERS has rebounded from the April lows. Aside from that, everything else is pretty that doesn't have huge moves aside from kind of normal expected increases. Workers' comp is expected to go down a little bit due to our EMOD going down. Not a whole lot of changes here under building and maintenance.
Okay.
Okay. Next slide, IT digital services. Not too much that really sticks out here. Library expenses, pretty straightforward. Admin and marketing. Here you'll see we do as of the first reading still have 12,500 for account 5442, which is BLT travel.
We had some discussion about that because that was originally a $10,000 budget. And we, finance manager Lou and I took it upon ourselves to add the additional 2,500 just to ensure that everything would be covered. We again took it upon ourselves to continue that 12.5 in the first reading and the projected 26-27. But if the board wanted to bring that back down to what you had originally approved, that we could certainly do that. We just continued that higher number
So,
because we did.
so I'm going to say, when we had that discussion, I thought it was temporary because there was a concern that we
Right.
would go over budget. And that was because we were not having discussions about how we were using it. And so everything that I said related to that budget, I still stand by. I still, don't think, we should have the same budget as the staff, given that there are only 5 of us. And the staff budget goes for their professional development that, is required for them to continue to be able to deliver the quality services that they do for our community. I'm still of the belief that we need to be more intentional about how we're utilizing those dollars. And it's, the taxpayer dollars. And so I feel like we need to justify it. And we've demonstrated that we can stay within the budget that we set because we've had discussions about it. And so my recommendation is we go back to the original 10,000, because I will reiterate that I thought it was temporary, just to avoid us going over budget.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
I mean, we
noted.
can certainly do that.
We'll make that change for the final reading.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this slide?
So the election ended up costing 195,000.
No, it did not. It'll it
It'll
was
be updated.
roughly about just over 160-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember how much money I was refunded as well.
Yeah, it's nice that it came in under budget. So yeah, I won't complain.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Okay, so I think we do have a couple more slides, though. Really
Yes.
quickly, we can look at,
Library materials, no significant changes here. I will point out that 5346 is the online resources, and yes, that number is increasing just due to increased demand in Hoopla usage. So we have budgeted 250,000 for the next 2 fiscal years, and that is a increase from where we've been previously. And the last slide here is fixed assets. There's two components to this. One is IT equipment, and the second is construction in progress. I will kind of quickly go through the IT plan. In this $287,000 number, a part of it, you'll see all the items that are in 6450. Those are the ones that are capitalized, and we'll go into that number. So for next year, a couple of the bigger items are the firewall and switches and routers of 114,000 and 144,000 respectively. I believe that's going to be a topic for the next agenda. But I just wanted to point that out, that it is in our first reading budget for next year in this presentation. And then the facilities capital plan, it breaks out the 1.65 million, 685 million for next fiscal year. And the following fiscal year has 1.1 million. And the primary projects are the terrace, which we have budgeted 1.275 million, of which 850,000 would be covered by the Friends. And the following fiscal year, we have roof repairs, and that's over at Malaga Cove. The repairs there total approximately 900,000.
and just to comment on that entryway, like we were saying, the Friends are very generously giving us $850,000 for that. But we had already put money aside. We didn't want to completely let go of all of that, just in case something happened that we weren't aware of, or in case there was some cost contingency that came up. So we opted to just leave it there for now, which brings it up to 1.2. I don't think it will be a $1.2 million project, but we just wanted to ensure that we still kept the money we had budgeted and accepted the money that the Friends were giving us for that project.
What is the actual budget for that project?
Well, we had only had like a $500,000, which we had already spent some of. And then when they gave us 8, we kept like, the 3.5, the 300,000-400,000 that we still had, and kept it about 1.2. But the budget that we got from MZN was about, I want to say 875, something right around there.
Okay.
But just in case, we didn't want to give all that money back and then realize we kind of needed a little bit of it. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
All right, item 13, accelerated purchase of vital computer network equipment, IT manager, Lekowski. Thank you for correcting that.
Thank you. So looking at 2 items, and I'm glad Will mentioned the firewall and the switches and routers. And originally we set aside a certain amount of money for them, and prices were creeping up. So we increased that, but also noticed that given the, how should I say, uncertainty in international trade, my strong recommendation is to buy that a lot sooner than later. And so what I'm asking for from the board is, even though it's in next fiscal year's budget, which is just around the corner anyway, to go ahead and let me put the wheels in motion for purchasing this equipment before July 1st. So let me go over some numbers just to give you an idea here. On the switch side, originally I had about 72,000 set aside. We increased that to 144,000. List price is about 180. I went ahead and working with one of our very good resellers. I've checked out prices with several resellers, but working with one GST that has always proven to be very good. They came in at a very cost-effective $96,000. So, 96 minus 180, that's a pretty big difference.
But they won't hold that price for 6 months?
No. Matter of fact, I talked to our account manager there today, and people are worried on a lot of these components come from China, subcomponents, wherever they're assembled. So, yeah, if international trade is, gets a little heated, whatnot, and prices go up, they could significantly go up. So, I got the quote in for the switches. It's very competitive. I got it in for the firewall today. It's a little more, but still, it's a very good quality product. Getting several years coverage with it. So my recommendation is let's move ahead with the purchase of these. Now, both items are above $50,000, understandably so. And as such, our procedures require that we RFP, or maybe RFQ in this case, so I'm just asking for equipment, not services, necessarily services from the reseller. I mean, my recommendation is really just don't have to issue. I don't see it necessarily, the interest of time and the certain environment, to issue an RFP would not buy us any value.
And the RFPs would be put out to resellers as well as.
Yes, yeah, resellers. I mean, I have my list of resellers. Then I put it up on what's that website? CSDA. Yeah, one of the websites that Will and I and others, I think Daniel uses it too. I put it up there, and sometimes you get a response from there too. Given the competitive pricing that GST has provided us right now, and has always done so over really almost 2 decades that we've worked in, and we've worked with other resellers, and we still work with other resellers, depending on what you're doing. But for important, vital equipment like this, and with a project like this, my recommendation is to purchase this equipment soon and go through them. Now, I've checked other resellers online. I've done it in Ingram Micro, CDW, KTS. Check somebody else too. I don't remember. Anyway, they're GST is the most competitive here.
Is
And I
there-
could get you those quotes.
Right.
I mean, we could put in the documentation.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we had a big management meeting where we kind of sit and went over the budget and went over these items. And I think our big concern was just these are specific items that do often come from China and Taiwan. And it seems that in the global trade that we're seeing, this is going to be more impacted than many other things that we get. It's not, we don't see the same issue with like books that we order or media that we order. We don't see the same issue. We may start to, but we're at least right at the moment, we're not seeing that same issue with facilities, equipment and supplies that they need. Although even the facilities department made a paper goods order of toilet paper and paper towels and cleaning materials, like a they did like a 4-month order, was all still within their budget, but like a big 4-month order now, just in case, you know, to try and really stock our shelves with current prices. And as we looked at these particular 2 items, even Finance Manager Lou was like, if we could buy these now, we would be better off in the long run. But as Manager Latotsky said, we would normally, as per policy, need to do an RFP.
Mhm.
So we're really asking for 2 things. We're asking for permission to buy them early. Not that they weren't budgeted, they're just not budgeted now. And to go ahead and use a very well-trusted preferred vendor that we have used for many, many other projects and many, many other services in the IT department. As it just seemed like it was prudent and fiscally responsible to try and buy this as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the technology or the firewall configuration might change in the next 6 months? Yeah.
So let's look at the firewall. We're looking at 2 models, the 3420 and the 3430. But there recently been new models by the vendor, Palo Alto Networks, and they'll be around for many years. Even our current model, that 3220, it's been around for 7, 8 years, and it'll probably be discontinued in a year or 2. But you know, even for something like that, tech support will still be there. So for the models we're gonna get, I mean, we'll probably still have it the day I retire.
Hey now.
For the RFP or RFQ processes by, you know, statute or whatever, what is the minimum term of that process of waiting for bids? Do you know what I'm asking?
Like, is it 30 days?
Yeah, I mean, we typically, well, how long do you put out an RFP for?
You know, usually at least 3 weeks. I mean, 2, 3, 4 weeks, depends what you're asking for. And here, you know, so looking at the switches, you know, HP is they're relatively good on getting back to you, or getting back to the reseller with quotes, but Palo Alto Networks, you know, they'll take time. So yeah, it's several weeks.
So, yeah.
There's no rule in our policy how long we have to. I don't think.
No, there's nothing that says how long you have to post it. I think it's just, you also look at staff time and everything that goes into it, creating the RFP,
Yeah.
posting it, waiting an appropriate amount of time, gathering whatever submissions you get, analyzing those. And then, you know, we truly do our very best to ensure that we're picking the right product. And thankfully, our policy, you know, the board was very forward thinking many years ago in saying it's not exclusively the lowest bid, it's the best product that you can get that meets your needs, which I think is very appropriate and good. But I think when we started talking about this project, it just became kind of clear to us that GST has always been a preferred vendor. They have the product that we need. It is in fact exactly what we would typically order. And could we just simply move a little quicker on this and get it now?
Could you remind me what the budgeted number was for that for next year?
Okay, so we'll just hand it up, but so for the firewall, we're looking at 114,000, and for the switches, 144,000.
And the quote you got for the switches was
95.
90.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right
95.
now the firewall's a little higher above but the thing is, we stay within budget because they're both 6450
Mhm.
accounts. So obviously we're gonna stay in budget, within budget.
So it's within the budget
Yes.
set aside
Correct.
for
Yes.
next
Yes.
year.
Yes.
Yeah, that we set aside for
Yes.
next year.
Mm.
And so you have a quote that's not going to change if
Yeah,
we do it now.
correct. So the quote was issued on the 12th. So that's what, 3 days ago?
Mhm.
And the quotes are good for, well, this one for about 25 days.
Okay.
Not
And-
even 30.
And so you've been working with Finance Manager Lou,
Oh, yeah.
and so
Yes.
there do not appear to be any potential downsides
No.
to
downside.
doing it now.
No.
All right.
I think, I mean, I think I'm generally uncomfortable with skipping RFP processes, but I think seeing as staff's already inquired, it sounds like at least 5 different vendors.
Yes.
I mean, so we
Mhm.
have things to
have-
compare it against,
Yes.
so maybe that the due diligence has been done and
Mhm. Yes, which was why my ultimate question was, are there any potential downsides we are not considering?
We haven't identified any. We've talked kind of at length about it and again, in conversation with Finance Manager Lou, he was, we kind of all together agreed that, gosh, if we could move on this now,
Yeah.
we could maybe save some money.
Mhm.
And get a locked in price that we just simply don't know is going to be that same price even 25 days from now.
Yeah.
Let alone 2 months or 3
Three-
months from now. We're
Three,
like,
4 months, if we are
if-
hit with the tariff, that
Mhm.
takes it up 50,000,
yeah,
Right.
so this is why we're bringing it
Right.
forward.
Well, it's a very volatile time,
Yeah.
Yes.
price wise. So
to what extent is service, customer service and technical service included in these prices?
Yeah, I mean, so that's included. The setup of the equipment, we really do ourselves. So that's not, it's really purchase of the equipment, and inherently in that, there's some level of customer service. Well, we get it from the vendor. There's some of that in there, but also from GST, given that we're such a good customer too. They'll, any problems we have or questions.
You get a little bit of, you get tech support from them as well.
Oh,
if
yeah.
You have an issue with installation or
Yeah,
programming or
Mhm.
hooking anything up.
correct.
Yeah.
And we get full technical support from the firewall vendor too. They're very good at that. And
Great.
so I know firewalls, it's a pretty penny, but boy, on the other hand, we've never been hacked, and I want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
So
Mhm,
one way you do it is a good firewall.
mhm.
okay.
Thank you, Laszlo.
All right. So we have a recommended action. Do I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the early one-time purchase of a new firewall and HPE Aruba network switches and waive the request for proposal requirement for this particular procurement.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have the update on Director's Annual Performance Review Compensation and Contract. So my initial update is, you recall at the end of last meeting, I asked to work with Executive Assistant Bender to identify dates that were available. That was very challenging to identify dates where most of us or all of us were available. And so those dates have been shared with you all. In the meantime, I was looking at other examples of performance documents, looked at the past documents, and then had a conversation with Executive Director Addington, to ask her thoughts about what was working for her and what wasn't working for her, where we had some room for improvement. So looking at the document again, it is evaluating the performance against the core accountabilities in the district director's job description. And so I think we're already doing that. I think where we have an opportunity is the discussion that we have as a group. And so we will still use the same document. One change that will take place is on giving the scores, because that seemed to be an area where we could improve. And so instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll go back to a prior document had exceeds, meets, needs improvement. And I think that's more in alignment with how we establish what the compensation is, because it's not based on a number, but it's based on, are you meeting or exceeding? And as part of that discussion, and I'll send some more instructions on this, but as part of that instruction, if we're going to get to a place where we're saying exceeds, then we're going to need to document that, and provide evidence for it. So when I think about past evaluations that I've been part of here, people will say things, but not really validate why they are saying that. And so as part of writing whatever you contribute, there'll be a request for documentation if you're going for that highest level. But otherwise, we'll still use the same document, but when we have the discussion, I think it'll be more clear how we can improve that to make the experience better for the board and better for Director Addington. Okay,
Sounds good.
and then thank you for everyone's flexibility. And know people have a lot of things going on, but we need to prioritize this and get it done before the end of the fiscal year. So any questions for me?
So the 3 meetings that are scheduled are for the purposes of it's closed session to discuss the
Right.
performance
Right.
according to the rubric from last year,
Right.
except for the numbers.
Right. And so it's as I said, what we will use has been used prior.
Mhm.
So it's not new. It's just, I think how we have our discussion will better facilitate use of it.
Mm.
Okay. So no questions, comments? Director Addington?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Working on mine.
So next is item 15, consideration of going dark for an upcoming summer Board of Library Trustees meeting. Director Addington.
So we've always had discussion every year about potentially going dark one of the months in the summer. It often is August. It has on occasion been July. I just wanted to kind of give a quick overview. June, we are back at the Peninsula Center Library. It's a pretty big meeting. There's a lot of stuff on the June agenda. At this point in time, the only thing on the July agenda is the quarterly Friends report, which could easily be moved. But at this point in time, there's nothing on the August agenda. Now, that's not to say that things won't come up, because of course they do, right? But at least for now, we're looking at I mean, a lot of the things that we need to get done, we really need to do them in June. We are striving very hard to have, excuse me, an MOU to approve in June. We have the final reading of the budget in June. We do have some legal contracts that are updated in June. And, you know, some of the
Compensation.
biggest stuff is the director compensation, final director review and contract. This also is a contract year for me. So, whatever you guys want to do about that. Performance review can be done at a special meeting or whatnot, but compensation has to be done in that meeting. Ideally, we would have maybe had that conversation tonight, but I know we got a little bit behind because we are doing the final reading of the budget as well. So we may do a little creative, you know, agenda items and in schedules, but so just looking forward into the summer, I just want the board to be aware that, you know, what we really have is a strategic planning update, joint agreement update. Those are all technically, or at least at the moment in June. We could push some of those out if we needed to. So some of that could go out to not create a really ridiculous meeting. There will probably be updates around the entryway because that is a project that could get into construction in the next month or two. So, you know, if we're able to go that fast, we could be moving on that. So just to say, it's a little bit hard to say what month would be a better or worse month, if you really should schedule yet, or if you should just kind of wait. My sense would be maybe August would be the better month if you wanted to plan ahead, but we are also technically scheduled to go to Miralest in July. If we wanted to do a dark in July, that would be fine. I don't think Miralest Library or Miralest staff would be, you know, unduly upset if we skip them. It is a little more challenging there to do the meeting because we take up the whole library. Yes.
So I can't remember people's availability, but I'm looking at executive assistant Bender.
Well,
And she has those
right.
dates when people, because people have already made plans.
Right. In June, we already know that Trustee Butler might be coming in virtually. I believe in July, Trustee Easton won't be able to join us. Right now, I don't have anybody not for August or September. But you know, at least
Mhm.
for the moment.
Right. And so if we go dark in July, we will not be going to Miralest because school
Yeah.
starts.
No,
And
we
so we
wouldn't do
wouldn't be
it.
able to go in August.
And like I said, you know, I know that they appreciate us coming out, but they also appreciate that it takes up the entire library when we come. And if we were to go dark, I don't think anybody would have a
Mhm.
problem with it. But we would just simply skip Miralest. And we would ensure that we go to them next year. So
Did we skip Maryland last year?
we skipped both branches last
Right.
year.
Mhm.
We didn't go anywhere last year. Miralest it's, you know, it can be done and we've done it. We always do, but it is a little bit more.
It's a bigger,
went in
it's a bigger
Because
production.
It was like the
Mhm.
Thursday fell before school started or
Yeah,
something.
But,
right?
Right.
but this time,
This time it overlaps.
Yeah, this time it does.
And June wouldn't, I mean, it's already next month.
I wouldn't do June there only because it is a big meeting and we've got a lot to set up and a lot to kind of go over. I think it might be easier for us to just go to Penn Center for June.
and we're starting with a closed session.
And we're starting with a closed
Yeah.
session. Very good point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be decided now. I know we just wanted to have that conversation and kind of talk about what are the options. Both are options, July or August. We could push, you know, we could push anything from June into July, or we could push it all the way to August. You know. I don't think staff has a particular recommendation at this point of whether or not.
And it does not matter to me
Yeah.
which month it is. So
Well,
it's,
I know I cannot attend in July, so
July.
my preference would be to go dark in July if everyone else is amenable, but
Yeah.
it just depends on the other two trustees too who are not here. So
Yeah.
maybe we could consult with them and
And we can put it as an agenda item for June too, so that we talk about it at the very end of that to say, are we going to go dark the next month? You know? So just because either
Yeah.
one,
because, we could have something emergent where we need
we could.
to meet. So,
I mean, if we had an emergency, we could always have a special meeting. I mean,
Mhm.
that's always an option. You can call special meetings. So
yeah,
just
But we-
something to think about.
right. But we scheduled it because, it was asked at the last meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, and then unfortunately, we are missing two trustees tonight. But so, I mean, again, we can talk about it again in June and just kind of see where everybody is sitting for the next couple months after that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
by then, we may have a better understanding of what, if anything, is really
Yeah.
coming up in July, or if we feel like we need to push some things from June. Is it essential that we push them to July, or maybe we push them all the way to August? Some of them, it might not really matter. So
But we
just kind
do
of
still
keeping
have
that.
a lot of significant
Yeah, that means there's still a lot of
things
things
to
going on.
work on.
Still a lot of things going on,
Mhm.
so. But we don't.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't clear to me that people were holding off on their plans. So,
Yeah, no, I mean,
based on what we received when we asked for people's availability.
yeah, there's definitely, people are traveling and whatnot, so.
I think there may have been a little bit of confusion on some of the dates, so.
Okay.
Are we sure we have a quorum on like those first special meetings?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so we can talk about that again.
Okay.
So we're pushing it to the June?
Yes,
agenda?
no decision, discussion only. We'll discuss in June.
All right. So it's no action taken because that one was listed as action.
Well, yeah, no action taken.
All right. Item 16, Director Monthly Report.
Thank you. So we had a wonderful April, a lot of exciting things going on. I wanted to call out, and I started my report by acknowledging that President Uno and I went to the city of Rolling Hills Estates and got a wonderful proclamation in honor of National Library Week. You may know that their current mayor, Debbie Stigura, was a previous library board of trustee member and president. And she obviously is a very an engaged and active advocate for libraries. So we were very, very happy to accept that from her. I also just wanted to call out some of the wonderful partnerships that PVLD has with PVP USD. Not only are we hosting their Palos Verdes High School art show, but our local history department with Monique Sugimoto and the young readers department, young adult department with Otto Catalan are doing work with them on their ethnic studies classes, and Monique's been working on their third grade local history projects. So just really doing a lot of wonderful work with the school, which I'm just really pleased and happy to see. We had a great outreach at the Whale of a Day event at the Point Vicente Interpretive Center. Probably about 300 people all told came through and visited our booth and took home our craft and did some coloring pages. So lots of really wonderful activities going on there. And kudos to all the staff who came out and helped with that. I also included some updates on, while they're not library programs per se, Eve James, the branch manager, hosts all the receptions that go along with our gallery rentals. When you rent the gallery, the Schaefer Gallery downstairs here at the Malaga Cove Library, you get a reception as part of your rental. And that's where you can invite your friends and family to come and view your art. And she has been working now very, very closely with individual artists and group art groups. And the receptions and the performances that happen in that gallery are really, really delightful. And it's amazing how many people come. I mean, hundreds of people attend events in the gallery. So just wanted to call that out. I'm very excited about that. As was expressed earlier in the meeting, summer reading is coming to PVLD. So we're very excited about all the events going on for the summer reading program and the kickoff Picnic on the Peninsula event on June 7th. Should be a lot of fun and really looking forward to that. One of the things that Crystal said that I think is going to be really interesting and exciting too is the 20 community booths that we have. So we'll have a library booth there. The Friends will have a booth there, but we've invited local community organizations to come and like set up their booths and kind of share their information. So really looking forward to that as well. Some data in there from circulation team all got together and met and had a wonderful update. Facilities already gave his update on all the wonderful facilities work being done. So really excited about that. And then our Staff Pay It Forward Award winner this month was Eliza Curran-Schumann. She is a clerk at the Miralest Library. Wonderful, wonderful clerk and a great addition to the team out there. So I just wanted to say congratulations to Eliza. And we had a couple of new pages start, so we're very excited about that. It was a busy month. We're getting into some busy times. I think a lot of people erroneously think, oh, well, school's out. The library must be like quieter. It must be so nice. And you're like, oh my goodness, the summer is the absolute busiest time for us. We start really ramping up right now. And we are very, very busy. As was mentioned, 40 programs just for summer reading alone. And that doesn't include all the ongoing story times and PTAC meetings and everything else. So the Young Readers Department is very, very busy during the summer, and we're looking forward to a really exciting one. I did not send this out ahead of time, apologies, but I did include at all of your tables and I gave a copy to Executive Assistant Bender to put with our minutes. But I did do another of the associated strategic principles outlines, just so that you can kind of see what our current principles are and where the different activities that we're doing sort of fit and how we're kind of coordinating these to align with our strategic principles. And so I wanted to share that as well. I also got a good suggestion from Trustee Easton about incorporating that into my report. So I'll be trying to do that as well. And looking at this, I also wanted to note what I didn't mention in my report was, again, branch manager Eve James and her team did an art supply swap here that I thought was so interesting, and what a great idea. They did a community-wide collection of sort of gently used art supplies, and then basically had like a big swap meet. So people donated books that they had maybe started, but they, art books or crafting books that they had, or crafting materials or art materials that maybe they've tried water painting, but watercolors, but it didn't really fit them, or they kind of moved away from oils. So they had a bunch of oil paints, and they just brought all of that material together and basically did like a swap, not a buy, not like a sale, but just a swap meet where I need this or you need that, or, oh, I've always wanted to try, polymer clay. And somebody has kind of given up on their polymer clay crafting, but it went really, really well. They got great response from the community. And Eve was saying that she could see this being, an annual event for them, just a swap, just to bring in your things and we'll swap it around.
It's done downstairs here.
It was done here in the gallery. Yeah, it was really, really fun. So just, exciting and interesting ways to kind of engage the community and do something fun without, it necessarily being a program, but it was still an opportunity for people to come together and talk about art and maybe pick up something that they needed. So it was a really neat event. Very excited
Okay.
about it.
Thank you.
I'll leave it at that.
May I ask one thing on the?
Absolutely.
report? You mentioned titles in Portuguese, Chinese, and things were added. Is that an easy statistic to find out precisely how many titles in different languages we have? I'm
Yeah.
just curious,
I don't know it off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
yes, I can absolutely.
but if
Get
it's not
that
too much
number.
trouble, if that's
No,
kind of-
not at all.
That would be
I
interesting.
think it's something that our technical services manager could easily
Run a
pull
report.
and say, run a report and say, we have this many titles in this many languages. Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
World
Good.
languages.
Next is item 17, Community Relations Committee Report. Vice President Butler.
Nothing to add beyond what's already been mentioned in the meeting.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Peninsula Friends of the Library Liaison Report, that would be me. I was unable to attend the most recent meeting. I know you did, so if you can provide an update.
Yeah, so we attended, myself and Deputy Director Roy. I'm trying to think of what we talked about.
One of the things that stood out to me was their plan to decrease or eliminate the amount of books that have been donated to the Friends and are taking up parking spaces currently in the second floor garage of the Peninsula Center Library. So they did present a plan and had a slide for it in their slideshow, and I think I snapped a little bit of a shot of it here. Yeah, so one of their major policy changes that they're proposing and sounded like they were planning to move forward with from the meeting was that the donations will only be accepted one day a month, and they'll be advertising the day that you can drop off donations. So it won't be the situation where people just drive into the garage on any day and drop off. At least their signage will be saying, please don't do that. And
People
of
will
course,
still do it, but it might stop some people.
and then they're limiting what can be donated to books and digital media. They're trying to get away from magazines, periodicals, things like that. And their plan is to create signage and posters and standing boards to advertise this, that they don't need that. And also about the condition of the items. They need to be in good condition. They don't want anything that is damaged or smells bad because it's been sitting in an attic or garage for multiple years. That's kind of the main gist of it, is to create these policies, create signage for these policies, have people out there to help kind of enforce and guide people, especially during the transitionary period from what it used to be to getting used to what it is. And then it's meeting their goal of getting rid of the stockpile that's out there now that's taking up the multiple parking spaces. And their goal is to have that by, is it June 1st or the end of June?
Well, their goal was June 1st, and
June
that was a
1st.
goal that they set for themselves.
Mhm.
All we said was, as we were going into this the entryway remodel and construction, we know that that may cause some challenge for people, as the entryway is kind of ripped up. We're never going to block the entire entryway, but people may opt to park on the second floor. And so we wanted all of our parking spaces back. We basically said, we really need them all back. And they said, you're absolutely right. We need to do something about that encroachment of donated items. And they set themselves the goal of June 1. So they're very like, we're gonna make it happen. And we had a really good conversation, not at this particular meeting, but earlier with them, just about how to do that. And they were like, if we can do these things, and I gave them permission to do those things and said, let's see what we can do about moving out all those donations. So it'll always be an ongoing issue. We're one of the very last, I think, organizations that accepts book donations. Even some of the Salvation Armies and Goodwill, some of them don't even take books anymore. And yet people find it very difficult to throw away books, very difficult. But the idea is, hopefully, if you say, look, we don't want magazines, don't bring us your grandfather's old boxes of books.
Mhm.
Maybe they won't. but they probably still will.
And then the other major item was just what facilities manager Gutierrez shared with us today. He also shared with the friends the renderings from Cozen Architecture
Mm.
of, and, you know, I think they may have not yet had incorporated the bike.
Yeah, they hadn't yet.
And so that feedback came in the meeting and it's been since incorporated. And so there's a general, you know, excitement from the friends group about that project as well.
Very nice.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Next, item 19, Government Relations Liaison Report. Trustee Easton.
I didn't find anything library specific, but I found something interesting about local government internet websites and email addresses. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Mhm.
Introduced February 19th, 2025. Gosh, I should have brought my reading glasses. The internet website for use by the public needs to have the gov as the top level domain or a california.ca.gov as a second level domain by January of 2029. Does that apply to the library?
Well, and I mean, it has the potential, but I know that there's been a lot of pushback on that.
Okay.
And so I think there's still a lot of dialogue around it, and so many organizations, including ourselves,
Mhm.
we are pvld.org.
Yeah.
And, you know, to change every single thing that we have to pvld.ca.org, it's
Yeah.
like, why?
Or gov, yeah.
Or .gov.
Yeah.
And I don't know, excuse me, I don't know exactly where that's gonna go.
Yeah.
I know we've heard about it. And I think we're keeping a good eye on it, but I do know that there's been a lot of pushback on it because people have, you know,
Yeah.
just like we do, very old, you know, email addresses
Yeah.
that, you know, are humboldtcounty.org, you know,
Yeah.
and they don't. to
Well,
change
it's
all of
in
it is a lot.
committee and so it hasn't been passed. It's just
No.
been
Do you
introduced,
know who the
so.
author is or sponsor?
Yeah. It doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
It's AB 810.
Yeah. I will just comment for the board and for anybody who might be listening later. We did unfortunately in the last couple of weeks, were notified, as I think everybody was, that Dr. Carla Hayden, our Librarian of Congress, was sort of unceremoniously fired from her position, which was pretty devastating for the library community. Dr. Hayden has been in her role now for about 9 years. She's been an absolutely exemplary Librarian of Congress, one of the first librarians of Congress who actually had, I think, a library degree and everything that goes along with that. I think the fear, maybe rightfully so, is that it was an attempt to politicize that particular role, a role that has been a completely nonpartisan role. The previous Librarian of Congress held the role for 28 years through multiple administrations. And by making it political, I think there was a deep fear that basically a certain ideology would creep its way into the Library of Congress, an organization that endeavors to, you know, keep one of every item published, and archives and ephemera that represent the history and culture of the United States of America. And I will also say we were all incredibly proud to see that when individuals from the administration went to the Library of Congress to basically make themselves known, they were turned away by the librarians, to the point where the Capitol Police were called, because it is not a position that can unilaterally be terminated by the President of the United States. That is not a position that is appointed in that role. It is the Congress.
Is it by the office of the speaker?
Yes, I believe it is. or a vote of the entire Congress, one or the other. So obviously there's still a lot going on, but it does seem to be a little bit of a line in the sand. We're very, very pleased in the profession to see members of both sides of the aisle standing up for the Library of Congress and what that stands for our institutions. So we obviously following that as a profession and kind of watching and seeing what happens. But it was very sad. It was very sad to see Dr. Hayden receive that kind of news. And like I said, she's been an absolutely exemplary librarian of Congress, and we would love to see her back in that role. But time will tell. But things to look out for in the future.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, speaking of future.
Yeah.
Item 20, items for future
So-
agendas, which I think we've discussed.
We did very, very quickly. I'll just say the June, again, as was mentioned, it's a big meeting. We have the final reading of the budget. We'll have GAN limits and CalPERS salary schedule that's usually in consent. We had said a joint agreement update and a strategic planning update that could potentially get moved. We're looking for an MOU final, the director's annual review and contract, director compensation. And we do have some legal renewal contracts with Liebert Cassidy Whitmore. So, and that's just from now. So quite a bit going on next month.
Okay, thank you. Any additional items that board members want to request? Okay, thank you. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Great. Thank you.